And let me please introduce you to our panel members for today. We have Jim from Far Design. Welcome, Jim.
Good to be here. Thank you.
And we also have Henry joining us from Baltic Yachts.
Good afternoon.
And from Dijkstra Naval Architects, we have Thijs. Welcome, Thijs.
Hi, everybody.
And there we have from Southern Wind Yachts, we have Jeremy. Before we start talking with our panel members, I'd like to ask Justin, who's my co-host today from SuperYacht Times. Justin, can you say something about what is happening with the market?
A few slides here with some statistics. I'm going to go through them very quickly. And since 2010, well, we've seen a gradual decline, which I think we're all aware of. A slight lift, 2017, 2018, dropped off again next, a special year for all the wrong reasons. But the reason I'm showing you this is that the following screen is quite interesting. This is used sales over the same period. And the trend is almost the opposite. Used sales have increased up until last year with this quite extraordinary spike in 2014. And I'd be quite interested to hear from the panelists why that happened. Jeremy, perhaps, would be.
Well, okay, well, hello everyone, thanks Justin. I mean, I think that first of all, looking at the new boat statistics, as you mentioned, I think that considering that shipyards like Fitzroy, Holland Yachtbouw, Alloy Yachts are no longer delivering or building boats, this has already had a pretty big dent in the number of superyachts that are delivered each year. So just those three shipyards alone, not considering others that are no longer active, will definitely have a dent in the new boat delivery figures. I mean, brokerage, I think we have to consider that brokerage in the industry-wide, both motor and sail, equals about 85% of actual yachts that are sold and purchased each year. So, and I would say it's probably the similar statistics in both the car and the residential property industry that, that people, when they can stand on board a boat and touch it and feel it, potentially go for a sail, maybe charter it, sleep on board, they know exactly what they're getting into. And it makes it a lot easier to purchase something that you can feel and touch. And obviously, entering into a brokerage deal, 3 or 4 weeks down the line, you've seen it, you've tested it, you're owning it. You have the boat in time for your summer holidays. But I think looking at the brokerage market, it's important. Post-financial crisis, there was a real flood of second-hand yachts that came on the market. Early 2010s, there were significant listings. Buyers were able to go out, find a reasonably new or recent option on the brokerage market and enter it and buy it immediately. In recent years, I would say more since sort of late 2016, we've seen that the market's really shifting in favor of sellers, that there's a stronger demand, there's a thinning of the inventory and availability of brokerage boats on the market. And looking at statistics for our office alone here, we sold 8 boats last year, 8 brokerage boats, of which 5 we managed to sell without even putting on the market. And we sold them off market privately. We have a database of clients that we were able to approach owners that were considering to sell and just do private off-market deals, which is really unprecedented in the business since maybe pre-financial crisis time. So clearly this is all a positive trend. I think considering that brokerage demand is quite high. This is also leading to the fact that many owners that are maybe looking for a brokerage boat won't quite find what they're looking for on the brokerage market. They look around, they'll see a relatively small inventory, and if they're more particular, they'll be driven to new boats, ordering a new boat and getting exactly what they want. So I think this all works together, and I think positive outlook for both new and brokerage sailing yacht sales moving forward.
Jim, you're involved in also all kind of different projects. You talk to clients, what they are looking for. What are important trends in your opinion, Jim?
Well, in my opinion, I think habitability is a very important combination to go along with performance. And for instance, the boat we just launched almost just a year ago now, Canova, the owner was very interested in having very high performance. When I say high performance, a boat of that size, he wants to easily be in the 15 knot boat speed range most of the time. So a boat like that, you have to keep the weight out of the boat, and you have to have some systems that make the boat comfortable to sail. And on that boat, we installed a DSS, of course, and it has turned into something that has been very useful in controlling the motions of the boat and making a sailing vessel much more habitable, as I said, reducing the heel angle, because no one wants to be sailing around in their 30+ meter yacht heeled over at 20+ degrees. It just makes it very uncomfortable. So I think the advances there are going to be in, once again, the automation of the sailing boat, and also in active motions control. The DSS is sort of a passive motion control device. And I think the next step with that is to take it and turn it into, as I said, an active motion control device. And I think that would make sailing much more attractive to a wider audience of clients and owners that are buying that sort of boat. And I think the 30-meter size and up is very easy to install something like that. It doesn't have to be a DSS by name. It can be some other kind of device that is controlling the heel angle, controlling the pitching motions, and making the boat much more attractive. I also think another aspect is seeing from small boats all the way up, really going into larger boats, is multi-hulls, of course. And going to a cat at 30+ meters is the next step. I think we'll be seeing more and more of them out there because they are higher performance, relatively speaking, and the motions and the heel angle are reduced quite a bit. So I think that's where the market's going to be trending this size of boat.
One of the things, of course, you try to achieve is to have more comfort. And do you see that also, Thijs, as a demand in the market to create more comfort?
Yes, there is more comfort. I think that the bigger size of yachts already give a lot more comfort to the client than smaller size of yachts, of course, just by the sheer size of the yacht. The length of the boat also already gives you the potential of sailing faster. So we see more tendency towards fuel consumption reduction and actually being able to sail with larger yachts. I think that's the trend that we see, where we see the challenge of not only designing big yachts, but giving the crew the tools of being able to set sail and use the sail safely. I think that's the challenge that I have at the moment, and we see that we have to pick that up together with yards and with the crew of vessels to be able to develop that.
Let's see. We talked about comfort, and Jim mentioned one of the things about catamarans.
Well, I mean, honestly, on our market data is showing really that the catamaran and multi-hull sector of the yachting industry is really the fastest growing division. And we see a lot of focus on that. You look at entries and regattas and just new order books. I mean, this is on the smaller side, not necessarily 30-meter plus, but there's definitely a growing trend towards multi-hulls. And I mean, I would say that, you know, for many people, sailing a bareboat catamaran in the BVI or some destination like that is often their first experience on board on a sailing yacht. And, you know, there's lots of space on board. They can turn up with all their family and friends, have plenty of space. There's a great deal of comfort in that manner. Shallow draft, so they can go in close to the beach. The boat doesn't heel, or very little heeling. I mean, with our project, for example, it's at 5 degrees heeling angle. It's fully powered up. They can carry a very big tender back aft. So that, again, there's many good reasons to go for a multi-hull, particularly for the performance. And we, having looked at this, we see that there's really, for a client that is looking for a larger multi-hull with a, you know, with a high quality finish, you know, willing to have a good performance, at least a good thrilling, exhilarating sense of sailing, and also the autonomy to sail the boat around the world. there's really very few options available today. In fact, the best solution now is really to go and build a custom project. And of course, inherent in that is all the the forethought and the ordering a design package and moving forward. So clearly, there is a demand for this. We see it as a demand for people coming from motor yachting, from people that are moving up through age that want more space and comfort, but still want to go sailing and still want to have the ability to cross oceans and travel with under the power of the sails. So with this in mind, we approached Barry Racopo Naval Architects, and we also working with Nauta Yacht Design to develop we set aside a 90-foot project. At 90 feet, it may be small on the small side for the readers and viewers of SuperYacht Times, but in fact, this 90-foot catamaran has the interior floor space of more than 170 square meters, which is equivalent to a much larger boat, a 36 or 37 meter sailing monohull. And exterior space, deck space is something like more than 210 square meters, which is comparable with close to a 40-meter boat. And also, this is much more usable deck space. You have, nice flybridge up top, forward cockpit is protected, very big aft cockpit, and of course the tender lifting platform that can double as a beach platform or beach club. So clearly, there's a big demand for this type of yacht. 90 feet, we also set aside as a target target size, because this is the largest yacht that we can build while still maintaining a load line length of under 24 meters. So the boat can be built in compliance with SCB or small commercial vessel compliance, which makes it quite easy to register the boat commercially or for charter in certain jurisdictions. So this is our project with the 90-footer. Let's say we wanted to develop something that was also a versatile platform. That was a boat that could be, we've developed the specification, let's say the hull form, the sail plan, and a general interior plan. But this can be taken by a customer and driven towards their particular direction, whether they want a charter boat or more of a performing boat or anywhere in between.
How much interest, in the panel's view, is there in a motor yacht with masts for longer passages?
The challenge with all of this is of course the amount of time spent on the water. So I think we're seeing more interest from clients who are looking to take their boats off around the world. I think recent events have brought home the importance of family and quality of life. So we're seeing a little bit more interest in the long distance cruising. And I think that's where Tice's ideas start to come to fruition. If you have a boat that is sitting majority of the time in harbour, then the regeneration from sailing is not going to be of any significant use. You're more looking at solar power, that sort of generation. But if you take Canover as an example, the regeneration that we were able to achieve off that is absolutely possible, like Black Pearl, to sail across the Atlantic without actually firing up a single piston engine for the duration. I think probably where we'll see the development is the increase in efficiency of electric motors, the ability to store power. So when we are generating significant amounts of power, you have somewhere to store it. And of course, it all comes down to weight. And that's what you're seeing across the entire transport sector, is the fact that we're all looking to shed unnecessary weight, because it takes energy to push weight, be it a train, a bus, a lorry, or a sailboat. So it's a cycle, and it's not just concentrating on one area, it's concentrating on many different areas to get more efficient, to get more sustainable. And I think that's where we'll see the big difference going forward.
And Henry, you see also that your clients are asking for that? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have a single client discussion going on at the moment where a nod to the environmental impact of the boat or future sustainability, the operation of the boat, is not being discussed as one of the preeminent topics.
Do we see any trends in the type of clients and what they demand? Henry?
I mean, I think it's very difficult. With all of these statistics, as Justin alluded to at the beginning, we're playing with some pretty small numbers. So when you start talking trends, and it's not too difficult to go completely left field, I think our challenges within the sailing yacht sector, of course, is to find new clients. Too many years we've relied on rollover clients. I think when you start looking at comfort factors, environmental factors, you look at the catamarans, we start to see opportunities that may pique the interest of people who otherwise would not normally have looked into our sector. And our challenge, of course, is to get in front of them or to get them on the water. And with the reasonably restricted fleet that we currently have out there, and then if you look at the charter market, how many boats are actually available for charter, getting people on board boats is probably the biggest challenge we have. And then I also feel that when you go back to the performance that Jim was talking about, yes, we have a consistent number of clients who love to race. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But of course, that naturally attracts the attention of the media. It naturally attracts what we call the money shot, with boats heading upwind with 18, 20 people sitting on the rail. That is such a small portion of how these boats are used. A lot of the time they're spent cruising with family and friends, and we don't really get that message out. Of course, clients are private individuals and they don't necessarily need that to be splashed around, but from our side, to express what it's like to cruise on a sailboat, to cruise the world, the joys of it, the simplicity of it, you know, the peace and quiet of slipping through, you know, turquoise seas. I mean, you can paint the picture, but actually to get people into it and to see it is probably our biggest challenge at the moment.
Expedition style sailing yachts, as we're seeing in the motor yacht world.
I mean, I would say, I mean, if I can speak on behalf of Southern Wind, I would say that's very much part of the DNA of the boats that we do tend to build. You know, maybe going back a few steps to as Jim was speaking about with the racing side of yachts. And I mean, the reality, and I'm sure if 96% of our listeners are sailors, they know that whenever two boats are in the water and sailing in roughly the same direction, they're racing. You know, people love sailing and love performance, but you know, performance does need to work together with autonomy and the ability to cruise and do a lot more, have a multi-purpose vehicle. Let's say, I mean, where to go? Shall we say that you know, for our side, if we're looking at let's say autonomy of boats, certainly for our clients, when we're talking early stages for a new boat customer, we'll normally ask them what amount of their intended usage will be for either racing or for cruising. Generally, that's around usually 15 to 20% racing, and around 85 to 80% for cruising. So clearly, cruising is a primary usage of the boat. So we do build the boat with that in mind. You know, if they want to do more racing, of course, we need to be more careful about the weight control. We need to optimize the deck layout for racing. You know, we have to potentially build the boat in line with a certain rating rule. But the reality is, cruising is definitely the primary usage of these boats. So we're really building the boats with that in mind, to be able to be autonomous, to be able to sail long distances, for guests to be comfortable on board. And also for us, it's even though we consider sustainability and eco-friendliness a very high priority, you know, and following on Henry's comments, for us, it's something that our R&D team is constantly monitoring and developing and doing their due diligence on products. First of all, sustainability for us, I mean, the first step is really leading back to the performance question again, is making the boats, let's say, able to sail in a wider range of wind conditions. You know, we want to be able to hoist sails sooner, get the boat sailing and powered up. You know, in 6 knots of breeze, get the boat sailing, turn off the engine and stop burning fossil fuels. The same with the new energy consumption systems and energy storage on board. We want to be able to have fewer reasons to turn the generator on and run the boat more on DC, on power pack and lithium battery bank. So, you know, for this, while it's of course a very big importance for us, we put sustainability and eco-friendliness as a top priority, but even higher, we do like to focus on reliability and dependability and make sure that the boats are going to be able to cruise long range and not be bogged with complications or bugs in a faraway part of the world. And so definitely dependability is a big priority as well.
I would like to thank everybody for joining us today, especially, of course, our special guest. I thought it was an interesting discussion. It was a very interesting webinar. We had some very good polls here today that shows that we are heading in the right direction.